Afghan migrants are turning down free homes in London. Afghan refugees stuck in London hotels are refusing to move into new homes. Westminster City Council says it has a significant issue with refugees rejecting offers. A bit strange, isn't it? I'd take a free home in London, personally.
Bit bloody ungrateful, I would have said.
Afghan refugees have been rejecting permanent homes in central London after fleeing the Taliban, council documents show. A Westminster City Council report shows Afghan families have been rejecting offers of a permanent home. The documents add that the Home Office is facing, quote, significant issues when it comes to rehousing Afghan refugees in London. Since October 2021, the council has moved 45 families and 179 refugees out of Metropole Hotel, but they have a significant issue with people rejecting homes.
Beggars can be choosers.
It appears so. Do you remember a while back when we had, I think it was boat people, so to speak, being put up in a barracks in Kent, and they ended up burning it down on presumably the instigation of the human rights campaigners who turned up?
I do recall that, yes.
It's almost like there's a pattern emerging here. It's worth pointing out, of course, that these people are being put up in hotels at taxpayer expense.
Yes.
And I believe the process is that the government, in order to solve this, they go to a big private company like Serco or G4S, something like that. They give them a ridiculous amount of money, our money.
Yes.
Then they say, solve this problem for us in a way that doesn't get us into the newspapers. And so what happens? Well, Serco goes to hotels and it says, let's buy up all of these hotels. Let's make a deal with the hotel, especially during coronavirus when this was all going on. And that way we can fill up your hotels. You'll get nicely paid. They'll probably trash the place, but we can sort it out afterwards. And what's happened? Hotels all across the UK are now just homes for migrants.
I mean, we have that very thing here.
Yes.
A few hundred meters from our office, there is a hotel, and outside of it, all day, every day, you see
men, young men.
Young men standing around.
I have not seen a single woman or child.
Smoking and drinking.
Yep. I know, not very Islamic, to be honest.
No, but also, I mean, what's the reason for them rejecting a home, rejecting a house?
What indeed? We actually don't know, but let's just have a quick look to remind viewers who don't know Britain very well. This is the cost of living in London. It costs £5,000 a month for a family of four and about £3,000 a month for a single person, including rent and bills, to live in London.
You couldn't afford it if you wanted it.
Exactly.
Most people in the country couldn't afford it if they wanted it. And yet the government is offering them free ones and they're like, no, that's not good enough.
If we go to the next one, we see that London is in fact the fifth most expensive city in the world, behind only the Cayman Islands, New York, San Francisco, and Geneva.
Amazing.
I know, it's incredible. If we continue, Westminster City Council and the Home Office were asked why refugees had turned down homes, but neither gave details when questioned by the local Democracy Reporting Service.
I want details.
I do want details.
I really want to know. I want to speak to one of these. So why did you turn down a home? Tell me.
Now, there may be many reasons. I imagine that there might be a grapevine where people are saying, if you wait a bit longer, you get the better homes, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, or something like that.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Who knows? A Westminster scrutiny report said, quote, we continue to have a significant issue with offers being rejected. 24 accommodation offers have been rejected by families, representing potentially another 100 plus people who could have moved to their own homes. Our homes that we're just giving to foreigners.
Homes that we have paid for.
Yes.
I mean, I say send them back to Afghanistan.
I know, right? So far, the Council and Home Office have worked together to move 260 refugees, including, they say, 134 children, or people who claim to be children, to 15 hotels across the country.
Haven't x-rayed their teeth yet.
In total, the central London borough will need to find 600 Afghan refugees' homes, while nationally, up to 20,000 Afghan women, children, and others at risk will be resettled in the UK. Well, let me tell you, there are no women and children in that hotel across the room. Right, no matter how much you wish for these refugees to be women and children, it seems the vast majority of them are young men of fighting age.
If they are women and children, they're simply not allowed out.
Yeah.
Like they're just not allowed out. I mean, you can see them wandering around the town.
Maybe the issue is that they can't live Islamically if they're dispersed throughout London, as opposed to put together in a nice hotel enclave. Maybe that's the problem. Who knows? Council plans show the remaining refugees are expected to be moved from March the 28th, which at the time of recording was 3 days ago. The Home Office is expected to now set out a formal policy to deal with refugees rejecting homes next week. Westminster City Council is looking at moving the remaining refugees to 2 properties. So far, the council has resettled just 1 Afghan family in the borough, and a second family is expected to move into their new home next week. This is what we pay our bureaucracy for, by the way. It seems staggeringly inefficient.
I'm just so resentful.
They can't even waste our money efficiently.
I'm just so resentful that we're giving foreigners free homes.
And just to hammer the point home about London house prices, pun intended, let's go to the next link and have a look at the table. The average price by property type for London: detached, £1 million. Semi-detached, £650,000. Terraced, £550,000.
£500,000 for a terrace house.
Flat or maisonette, £430,000. And the overall average cost is £500,000. So the vast majority of British people, by the way, will never be able to afford these houses in their entire lives. Millions of British people have left London over the past decades, yes, due to ethnic tensions and so on, but mainly due to economic pressures being a significant factor. And also the drop in safety in London. If we go to the next link.
So before we go on though, have we brought in the aristocracy of Afghanistan?
It sure looks like it, doesn't it?
And are they just like, well, excuse me, you know, where's my butler going to live? Like, how can you be like, yeah, well, I'm not accepting a £500,000 house?
It's absolutely crazy, isn't it?
As wild, absolutely wild.
But of course, there may be other reasons why they don't want to leave their hotels. Maybe London's too dangerous. Sadiq. As we have this infamous quote here, London Mayor says being prepared for terror attacks is, quote, part and parcel of living in a major city. Well, if anyone's prepared, it should be Afghan migrants.
No comment.
Oh dear. And then if we go to the next one, London knife crime as well hits record high. This was a while ago, with more than 15,000 offences in a year. I believe that's in 2020.
Was that the year when it became more dangerous than New York?
I believe so, yes. Both Afghan families, and they continue, are receiving dedicated support from the Council Support Service and council officers. The council also checks in on families weekly to make sure their needs are met. Again, on our dime, but good to see that we're being nice and welcoming. A Home Office spokesperson said, quote, the use of hotels to house those resettled from Afghanistan is a short-term solution, and we are working with local authorities to find appropriate long-term accommodation for them. Councils have been given integration funding to support those starting a new life in the UK, with £20,520 per person provided over 3 years to meet the costs. Local authorities will also receive additional funding for children entering education, to cover English language provision and to cover healthcare.
Yeah, they're really looking at this in the wrong way. I don't care if it's a short-term solution. I'm not bothered about your long-term solutions. I'm concerned that it's an expensive solution and you're not looking for cheap solutions.
Right. They're spending millions and millions of pounds on these people. And for local councils, like, this is a goldmine.
Yes.
But that's why our Conservative council was one of the ones that put its hands up and said, yeah, we'll take a load of Afghan migrants, please and thank you. We'll pocket that cash.
Yep. We'll take all of that money from the central government.
Exactly. And UK taxpayers, highest cost of living to income ever in my lifetime anyway. Bills going through the roof. They say there's a 54% price cap, but I'm seeing reports of bills going up, energy bills going up 3 times, 300%. Particularly targeting people who don't use much gas, because it's all being turned into standing charges. So old people disproportionately affected, right? You are absolutely gouging these people with your taxes. And what are you doing? Just throwing it away on useless projects like this, which no one asked for and which are going to make this country worse. Thank you very much.
And the people involved seem to be totally ungrateful for.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as this article by Carl Benjamin, The Census Data Proves Britain is Not a Nation of Immigrants. And if you want to find out what else we're bringing out, you can also follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com. Thank you and goodbye.